All right.
Hopefully this is not gonna. Hopefully this works out. As far as
why wouldn't it?
Let's be with the audio, I guess. The videos here is just kind of laggy.
Really?
Yeah. But as you guys can see, this is our first on-screen, in-person.
Fully vaccinated.
Yeah. This is our first one we've ever done on screen.
Yeah.
For both of us, I mean.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right.
That's it.
See you next time.
So yeah, we're set up here, and I don't have a screen for just general chat, so I guess we'll just get into nerd news.
All right.
Nerd news. So, do you want to go first?
Sure.
You're like,
Actually,
gotta go. You're like,
I think we've talked about this before, but my nerd news is about the Lord of the Rings series.
okay.
I guess they said that, like, the $500 million budget
Right.
is being spent on more than just one season.
Huh. Okay.
So, like, I think they're thinking of long-term,
Booking.
well, like building for the future of the show.
Interesting.
Which makes me go back to what we always say is, like, why don't they make something good and then worry about, future seasons?
Yeah, you see that a lot nowadays with just every show, regardless if it's good or bad. They'll, like, plan it out super far ahead, or be like, the second season isn't out yet, but it's been renewed for a third or a fourth. And I'm like, I guess it's kind of different though with that, because like Cobra Kai got renewed, and it's like it was just they knew it was going to be good, like it was. They saw the numbers, but yeah, something like that doesn't even have one season yet. It's like,
yeah,
what the fuck?
Like, what if it's terrible and everyone hates it?
What if they spent most of that? I can't believe the amount of money they have for that, and it's like, what the fuck are they spending the money on? I wonder. I mean, I guess as long as they're doing like good Weta effects and shit, but I'm pretty sure that's not going to be the case.
We'll see.
You never know though. Who's putting that out?
Netflix.
Oh, okay. Netflix has, like, for me, like, an okay track record. They've got some pretty good stuff, and then they've got some stuff that's like, okay, this stuff sucks. But for exclusives, I mean, like. But at this point, it's just kind of like getting whatever you can. I feel like.
I don't know, man. I feel like that's the downfall of, like, Star Wars and similar things. Is like they thought, like, too far ahead. They planned all this stuff out, but they didn't, like, actually make something good that people liked.
Yeah, that would have to be definitely the biggest issue. But pure shit. So, yeah. That's all. So I don't know if you heard about this, but Amazon is in negotiations to acquire MGM.
Yeah.
And I was actually like, fuck yes. Because MGM has been fucking sitting on, like, the Bond franchise. Like, this latest movie is like, they should have just put it out digitally. And it's like,
yeah.
By the time it comes out, like, yeah, will we see it? Yeah, but will most people that, like, or maybe have seen it streaming see it in theaters? Fuck no. Like, it just, they're waiting because they're like, we can't put this on streaming because it's James Bond. And I'm like, dude, that's...
It's good enough for Bill and Ted. It's good enough for James Bond.
Exactly. No, yeah. Well, they put that out. They put out not only the original Justice League, but they were able to have fucking, like, a whole new version come out in the time that it's taken. You know what I mean?
Sad.
So it's like, they're just, like I said, they're just waiting. They're putting it up on a pedestal and waiting for a time that's never going to come. And it's like, hopefully Amazon buys them, because if they do, they're going to be like, fuck that shit. We're going to start putting this shit out. Hopefully, I mean, I guess by this point it's kind of like a moot point, because streaming will be, it's still always going to be a thing, but it's like, I don't know.
I think it's a bad thing. Because all these companies are going to merge together and we're going to get no No variety. It's going to be one big monopoly.
Well, it's kind of too late for that.
That's true. You've already gone too far.
I think it's a little too late for that, but...
doesn't mean we have to like it.
I mean, MGM is kind of fucked anyway. Like, they've been in the hole. Apparently they've been looking to sell their company for, like, a while now, because it's stupid decisions like putting Bond on a pedestal instead of striking when the iron's hot, like, waiting for a time that's never going to come. It's like, you know, we both love that. Like, we both love, what's it called? We both love, like, you know, James Bond, but it's like, you know.
Yeah.
To me, it wouldn't matter what franchise it was, but it's just, I feel like MGM is kind of like the old company that's set in their ways, and it's like, not like I think everything should go digital, but it's just kind of like, maybe if Amazon buying them can get them to, like, actually start making better decisions, you know.
Yeah.
That would be nice, but I do agree. It's like, I mean, you look at Disney and they own, I mean, obviously, you know, they had already, like, ABC and a bunch of other stuff, but then they bought, pretty much they have Fox, so not only do they own, like, both sides of the political spectrum as far as what they want to, like, put out, and then they also own Marvel, and they own Star Wars, so, I mean, those are already huge, so it's kind of like, it's only a matter of time until, like, they'll probably own, like, DC, like Warner Brothers, and then it's like, like you said, it's going to be under all one roof, and then it'll be like, competition is like what breeds like good stuff.
Yeah.
That's why like WWE sucks now, because there's really no competition. They can do whatever they can put on no show, and they can still make money. So it's like
they should do that just out of pure hubris,
pure chaos. Hey, controversy creates cash. It's like that.
All right, that's depressing.
Yeah, it's, I don't know. I like the idea of, like, MGM, not them getting bought out, but I like the fucking all of them lose their jobs, fuck them. I just like the idea of, like, I don't know, maybe we'll see more, like, Bond regularly, because I feel like it takes so fucking long for them to make a Bond, and sometimes when it comes out, it's, like, mediocre. It's like, you get, like, a Quantum of Solace after waiting 10 years, and you're like, is that really worth waiting for? You know what I mean? Like, I think that's one of the only franchises I wouldn't mind seeing come out at a more consistent pace. Like,
yep, for sure.
Whereas, like, Star Wars was something that's not a good idea to have every year, because it was like burnout.
Exactly.
Paradise. Okay, so okay. So let's go on to
Recommendation Nation!
I don't have a bell. I was gonna bring one, but I don't own one. So.
Oh, nice.
Ding, ding, ding. So, yeah. What do you recommend?
So this week, my recommendation nation is the movie Midnight Run, in honor of Charles Grodin, who passed away this week.
Yeah, that was sad to hear. He wasn't super old either, was he?
He was like 80, in mid-80s.
Ah, okay. I guess that's not super young, but I mean, it's not like I'm like, he was old enough to die. Fuck it.
You're like, oh, that's okay then.
But
yeah, Midnight Run, an action comedy starring him and Robert De Niro. Is like probably my favorite thing that he's ever done. It's a great movie.
Okay, yeah, I'll have to look. You weren't a huge fan of him in Clifford?
I am. That's probably the second favorite thing.
Clifford.
Man, that movie is insane.
What else? Yeah, Beethoven's fucking movies. He was in that sequel to Christmas Story.
No, was he?
Yeah.
I've never seen that.
Like, never did anything because they didn't call it like Christmas Story 2 or My Summer Story. They called it like something completely else. My Story, and like nobody even knew it was a sequel.
He's in King Kong, that I just talked about last week or 2 weeks ago.
He's the ape.
Yeah.
He's in the suit. You don't even know it's him. It's like, yeah, I mean, he was an awesome actor.
Yeah, and really super hilarious.
Yeah, it's just sad to hear when somebody passes away, especially when they're like such a good actor, you really don't hear anything bad about him because there's too many people that are still alive that you hear like, oh, Weinstein's a fucking molester, like, you know,
Yeah.
that kind of shit. So, yeah,
Cool.
give it a shot. And
Midnight Run.
Yeah, Midnight Run.
Classic movie.
Not Midnight Meat Train.
Even better.
Do not watch it. So this week, I would like to recommend The Frighteners.
Oh, okay.
So, you seen that movie? Obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm not a pretentious asshole. So yeah, I mean, it's Michael J. Fox and Jeffrey Combs. You can't really go wrong with that. There's a bunch of other people in it too. Like I think Jake Busey's in it and Arlie Ermey or
Yep.
Arlie. Yeah, Ermey. That's right. But it was directed by Peter Jackson. That's right.
Yeah.
So it's pretty interesting. It's like Michael J. Fox like can see ghosts and he uses that to like con people, but then like it kind of becomes a horror film because then like demons and shit start killing people and ghosts as well. So you're like, and he has to kind of like save the day.
Yeah.
So it's one of those like. You could see, like, if it wasn't, like, horror-based, you could see it almost being, like, a Zemeckis film. It's got, like, that feel to it. But, yeah, there's some fucked up shit that happens in the movie, and Jeffrey Combs is Jeffrey Combs, so he's pretty out of control. I think at one point he, like, carves something into his chest, like a fucking pentagram or something.
Yeah, it's been a little while since I've seen it, but that was, like, the first time Peter Jackson went hog wild with the CGI, like, getting ready for Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I equate it to when John Carpenter discovered CGI in fucking Escape from LA, and it was like, I love you, but this is kind of not your forte.
Yeah. The thing I always think about with that movie is not the movie, but the behind the scenes like documentary where Peter Jackson told a real life ghost story that happened to him, and it was like the most bone chilling thing I've ever like. It was to hear someone like that you. Like respect and like they seem like a normal person tell like a horrifying ghost story. You're like, oh man, that's way scarier than any like movie.
Right. Because I mean, if just somebody you didn't know told you something like that, you'd be like,
yeah,
whatever. But anyway, enough of that shit.
Yeah,
we're on to the weekly topic. And what is the weekly topic this week, Matt? This was your nomination.
It is a little movie from 1988 called Action Jackson.
Yes.
Starring Carl Weathers as Jericho, Action Jackson.
Yeah, I'd never heard of this movie, so when you nominated it, I was just like, what? You know, but now you have heard of it.
Yeah. So I have a question. Did you get turned out by Action Jackson?
I was like... That song is fucked up, dude.
Well, we'll get into that.
So you have an actual physical copy of it. I actually like bought it, like rented it or whatever. Not bought it, but like bought a digital version of it. Does this have any features?
No, it literally is totally bare bones.
It's not a shock because I actually looked at the some of the information after I watched this movie, and it was like straight up. They were thinking of turning this into like a franchise, but like. I guess this one just is so bad in the theater that like they just never had a chance to.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that kind of sucks. Because I definitely could see this being like a franchise.
I wish it was.
Apparently there is another movie they made like with him that was called something else, but in other countries it's called like Action Jackson too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
So, but I don't know much more about that.
Okay.
But, yeah, as you said, Action Jackson is a 1980 movie that came out. It's directed by Craig R. Baxley. I don't really know much about that guy. In his feature film directorial debut, and starring, as you said, Carl Weathers, Vanity, Craig T. Nelson, and Sharon Stone. The film.
No Dauber?
Sorry, Dob. You got bobbed. So I guess we're going to go ahead and go down like what happens as the movie as usual.
What'd you think overall?
I thought it was good.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was a good movie.
It's pretty... It's got some pretty weird stuff that happens in it. Like, it's...
Yeah, I mean, it's like an action movie, so I wasn't really, like, shocked by anything that happened. It's typical action movie shit where it's, like, something will happen that normally wouldn't happen in a movie. As far as, like, how ludicrous it can be. The plot is kind of secondary in action movies for the most part, but it usually serves what it needs to serve to get the characters in the next scene. So, but Jericho Action Jackson is a Detroit police sergeant who was demoted from lieutenant for almost tearing the arm off a sexually violent sociopath, Sean Delaplane, who you never see in this movie, even though he's mentioned like 5 times.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of weird. I thought that they would show him at some point, but they never do.
But also, do you think that like someone could be strong enough that they could actually tear someone's arm off?
No.
Like when they said that, I was like, wait a minute, what?
Unless it was like
He's like
you were the strongest man of all time and you were ripping like the arm off of a baby. I could see that, but even then, like just the flesh, I feel you could dislocate somebody's arm. I feel like, but like the muscle and the fucking skin would be kind of your biggest issue.
So how did he do it?
I don't know. I guess we'll have to ask Carl Weathers if we ever see him at a convention.
Hopefully they'll make a prequel.
Yeah. Arm. Farewell to Arms, whose father is Peter Delaplane, a major car manufacturer. But Delaplane himself is violent as well. What? Delaplane kills his wife, Patrice, by shooting her, and then he plants her body in Jackson's apartment, framing Jackson. Delaplane won't miss Patrice very much because he has a drug-addicted mistress named City. I didn't write this, by the way. I found this on IMDb. This is a summary. This is fucking a shit summary for the most part. I mean, it's what happens, but I would have never worded it like that. He keeps Sidney hooked up with a free supply of heroin. Jackson suspects Delaplane of mastering a murder spree against local officials from the Auto Workers Union. Delaplane's mission is to gain a political power base and choose the next president of the United States. Because of what happened to Delaplane's son, Sean, Delaplane has taken a particular dislike to Jackson. Jackson gets Sidney's help in going after Delaplane, and he ends up getting fucking murdered. It's kind of weird, though, that, like, he's so pissed off at Jackson because of, like, what happens with his son, because there's at some point where he says, like, he's just gonna, like, fucking... He's like, at some point I might have to kill my son, too. What the fuck? Like, okay. Yeah. Some of the shit that happens in this movie with this, like, guy's motives don't really make sense to me.
Yeah, like, I could barely follow the plot at some points.
I have some of the, like, my notes, like, it doesn't really make sense for some of the stuff, but we'll go over that.
So, I really like this movie, too.
Yeah.
I won't claim that it's, like, one of the greatest action movies ever, but it's just, like, highly entertaining.
I feel like without Craig T. Nelson or Carl Weathers, this movie would be just shit. Like, there really wouldn't be a reason to watch this movie.
What about Vanity?
She was okay. I actually have, like, I have a rundown for her, too.
Yeah.
So we've got,
I remember seeing, like, the VHS tape of this back when, you remember when Kroger's had, like, a little nook where it was, like, a little video store inside it?
Yes. Yeah.
I remember seeing the box, like, in one of those and, like, oh, that looks like the best movie I've ever seen. That's called Action Jackson.
They did a good job of, like, making covers. I mean, they still did it, like, at the end of, like, Blockbuster in Hollywood's life, where you would see, like, a cover for something, and you'd be like, holy shit, this looks great. And then you get home, and it was literally somebody shot it on their camcorder. And you were like, dude, this looks like, this is the biggest bunch of shit.
Yeah.
But thank God this movie was not like that at all. So first scene in a high rise, and they hear a noise, and they look up, and it's on the roof, but it, like, sounded like a house roof. I thought that was... Yeah. Well, you have, like... Yeah. My second note, which is pretty apropos, because it says ADR big time. When he turns on the TV, boy, I tell you what, these things never work. Which I actually looked on IMDb after the fact, not specifically for this, but ADR was a huge thing in this movie.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like...
It's out of control.
To the point where I guess, like, they had issues, like, just getting stuff to, like, work. So it was like, I don't know if their on-screen sound was shit or what.
I had the same note.
About the ADR?
No, about these things never work. It's
yeah.
like, what are you talking about? Remote controls? Like, They were reliable at that point.
Well, not only that, but I mean,
like unless the batteries ran out, like why wouldn't it work?
I'm trying to think too. I mean, like 1988, like yeah, I don't know. It's like
it wasn't the like early 70s or whenever the remote control was invented. Like,
right.
What was he talking about?
Yeah.
This movie's ruined.
Well, I think he's also kind of like, I don't know. Yeah, the hand cannon he had that had like seemingly endless fucking bullets. But
I was gonna go back and count because like he has to fire like 30 bullets without reloading once.
Not only that, but it like the size of the gun entry wounds for things in this movie is very dependent on what they want it to be. But there's there's different, like
when he shoots like that desk, it's like blows the fucking thing over and shit. It's like, eh. So
you also get what you want to start every movie with, which is a woman getting punched to death.
Yeah, that was
always pleasant.
Also, like, yeah, I was like, okay. Also, that lady, I know she's been in other stuff before that like got punched to death.
Really?
So I thought she was going to be like a main character, but she wasn't. And I was like, hey.
Yeah.
I mean, she wasn't like, whatever. So this guy that like they're attacking gets hit with a grenade launcher, and he like flies out the window.
That's insane, by the way. It's so over the top.
Yeah, well, like his flaming body is like falling out the window, and it's like you see it going forever.
Yeah,
but then they cut to like right before he's about to hit the ground, and like it shows another shot when he's probably like 10 to 15 feet above the ground, and you can see like the stunt guy's legs are like that. So like at first he's completely dead.
Yeah.
And then when he's about to hit the ground, he's like. So I was like, okay.
But like I love seeing that kind of stuff in these movies because they'd never do that now. Like it'd be all CGI.
Well, it's also like totally unnecessary to fucking blow someone out of a fucking.
Yeah, totally. They'd already like almost beaten him to death.
Well,
like I was cracking up because it was comical and like the way that they did it. Like he's kind of like stumbling around his apartment. And they keep like punching and kicking him, and then like he'll open a door and there's a guy just standing there like punching him in the face.
It was like these guys were like ninjas, but it was like. I don't know. I was just kind of, what the fuck? So there's an ongoing thing in this movie where like this young like black guy keeps like running into Action Jackson.
Yep.
But it all starts because of this exchange where they like find him, like these two police officers who one of them is played by what's his name, Biff. Mm-hmm. The guy
Thomas Wilson.
Yeah, Thomas Wilson. They're in the squad car and they see him he's about to rob this lady, and like right in front of them. So then after that exchange, like he's in the cop car and they're taking him to the thing. And he's like, "What's going to happen to me?" So I got this whole thing down here because they start talking about Action Jackson, like kind of like building him up, like holy fuck, he's like a fucking killer and all this stuff. And he's like, you're going to have a little session with Action Jackson. And the guy's like, who? And he's like, Albert Action Jackson. Some say he didn't even have a mother. That some researchers at NASA created him to be the first man to walk on the moon without a space helmet. And then he says, others say his mother was molested by Bigfoot, and Jackson is their mutant offspring. They bring in Jackson when they want to re-educate some young ne'er-do-well, such as yourself, Albert. Yeah, I remember one kid got re-educated so bad, his testicles climbed back up into his belly, wouldn't come out. They called it a medical miracle. Which I would not call that a medical miracle. Yeah. I would call that a medical horror story.
Yeah. The doctors are like, it's a miracle, finally. Like,
I hate having testicles. Yeah, another kid handcuffed to a chair gnawed his own hand off like a trapped skunk or Wolverine or something.
Who wrote this?
Yeah, so that was that exchange. So when they take him there and he finally sees Action Jackson's like, just says like, chill out. And he's like, oh, and he like passes the fuck out. And I'm like,
yeah.
It was kind of a funny thing because Action Jackson is like, they call him Action Jackson, but he's probably one of the most chill people in this fucking movie.
He doesn't do much action.
He's like, the things he does are like he takes action, but he's not like somebody that like would go up to somebody and just start yelling at him or beating the fuck out of him. He's just like not a lazy guy.
Call him Reaction Jackson.
Exactly.
I always like seeing Thomas Wilson in movies.
Yes.
Like, I wish he was in more stuff, but like he's totally underused in this movie.
Yeah, he's kind of just like the person that says gross things.
But a very minor character.
Yeah.
And it's weird because this is the same year as Back to the Future 2. Like,
right.
One of the biggest movies.
Kind of weird.
And he's like the main character of that movie.
Right.
And in this, he's like barely in it.
Yeah, pretty much Back to the Future. I mean, everybody's seen that movie. If you haven't, it's generally like the three main characters, Doc, Marty, and Biff. And even more so in the sequel,
Biff becomes like the main character because he's the one that drives everything that happens not only in the second movie, but kind of by proxy, the third movie because of what happens at the end.
Yep.
So, yeah, I do think that's kind of weird. You would think they would have been like, let's make this... I mean, honestly, I feel like he would have been, if he was a little older, he would have been perfect for, like, the guy that was yelling at Action Jackson, like the captain.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's pretty good at, like, being, like, the asshole. It was kind of weird to see him, like, be, like, a nice guy in this movie, but, I mean, he can play it well. It's just... It was funny because the guy that they got to play the captain is, like, completely...
Bill Duke.
He's, like, super nice, too, for the most part. And then, like, out of nowhere, he'll yell. It's like, okay.
I also love Bill Duke. That guy's awesome.
Craig T. Nelson.
Well, hang on. We skipped something super important. The opening credits. And the song by the Pointer Sisters.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Which is basically like Action Jackson's theme.
Mm-hmm.
And it's called He Turned Me Out.
That shit is so fucked up.
I know. Like, I couldn't believe it. And I was pretty sure I knew what that meant. But I just to confirm, I had to look up the definition. Do you know what it means?
Yeah.
It's prison slang. The process by which a male inmate, through violent coercion, is transformed into a female typical or passive sexual role. Specifically, a person is said to be turned out when constant intimidation, battery, and rape changes the identity of the inmate, including sexual orientation and even gender identification. So, I guess they're celebrating the fact that Action Jackson, like, turned someone out.
That or, like, his dick is so big that he was, like, turning people inside out. It's a fucking, like, it's a good song.
Dude, the song is awesome, but the lyrics...
Yeah, are, like, fucking horrible.
Can I get into the lyrics real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, here's some samples of the lyrics. I walk down feeling sad and confused, just out looking for someone to use. Have to find something sweet and complete. Let these high heels hit the street. So I made my way to Tony's Grill. It's like, okay, I guess very specific.
Yeah.
That's a place where I could find a thrill. Saw a man who can fit the bill. I need love so bad I could kill.
Holy shit.
He took control of me, the heart and soul of me. He gave me such good love. Now he's all that I dream of. He turned me out. What do you think of that? It's pretty strong
I think
stuff.
It doesn't describe Action Jackson at all.
I know!
He's like the nicest guy in this movie.
He's a super gentleman.
So I don't... Yeah, there's a part where, like, he's with, like, somebody that, like, she's a dancer and a singer, but, like, she also just has sex with anybody, and he could have fucked her, but he's, like, literally is, like... he's a cop, but he's a nice enough guy that, like... I mean, just because you're a cop doesn't mean you wouldn't have sex with somebody.
Yeah.
He could have she asked him to have sex with him multiple times, and he's like, no, you're fucking, no way, you're high.
On heroin.
Shit. Yeah. So he, like, makes her life better. But, like, that is, like, that's, like, the theme for her, almost, or something.
I don't know what it is.
It's, like...
So there's a little bit more. I never knew how good it could be. He turned out the light and turned on the love in me. In a flash, he touched me so deep. No more secrets I could keep.
Maybe that is about her, then.
Maybe. He set a spark in me. He lit the dark in me. He got that magic stuff. Now I can't get enough. He turned me out. Like, that's the opening credits to this movie. It's like, what?
Fucking horrifying.
But I do think that song is cool.
It is, yeah. It's just like...
I like that style of music.
What the fuck? He's like, Friday night's a great night to turn someone out. It's like, man.
Also, Herbie Hancock did the score. Did you notice that?
I did not.
Cool score.
Yeah.
All right, sorry for taking us down that weird road.
That's okay. It's all part of the process. But yeah, Craig T. Nelson, coach. Make it quick.
What'd you think of Craig T. Nelson in this?
Good.
Yeah, I like him in a villain role.
Yeah,
he's pretty hammy.
Interesting.
In a good way.
Yeah, I mean you have to be as a villain.
I couldn't tell what the deal was with his hair because sometimes it looked like he had like frosted.
He's got
tips.
a bald spot in the back of his head, but he's got like a shit ton of hair. So I was like, "Is this a fucking wig or what is this?"
But it was like sometimes it looked silver.
Yeah, sometimes he was gray and sometimes he was just really blonde.
Yeah.
I was like,
it's kind of a cool look though. I thought.
Maybe he's got like one of those paint jobs on his hair that like depending on the light it like transforms.
Yeah.
Probably not though. Action Jackson has like a bunch of one-liners and some of them are awesome and some of them are like pure shit.
Yeah, that's for sure.
It was like 50-50 for me. It wasn't it didn't like make the movie bad, it just was like interesting. I was like, what? And I have a couple of them that I wrote down like later in the movie here.
Okay.
Or later in the thing.
Yeah.
I did like how like it took a while for them to get to it, but you find out that it, like you said, his first name is Jericho. It's not Action Jackson, but on IMDb it is Action Jackson.
Really?
They didn't. Somebody
Come on!
didn't watch the movie because like it should be Jericho Action Jackson, like in quotations or whatever.
Yeah, that's a great name, and it's like they reminded me of the names from Expendables, and then it made me wish like why wasn't Carl Weathers in the Expendables?
Yeah, especially
as
now.
Jericho Jackson.
That'd be sweet. I mean,
I know.
I honestly, I put that like, was this guy going to be like a comic book hero? And finding out that they were looking to make this like a line of movies, because he's got like, Peter Parker, Bruce Banner, Jericho Jackson. He's got like the comic book kind of thing, like Reed Richards, where it's like both names are with the same letter, so it's like very Marvel.
Yeah.
So very interesting.
Just like kicker a little bit. There you go.
So that fucking noise. Wow.
No grundle.
So guys are talking on a boat and the guy gets hit with an arrow.
Dude,
and moans or groans and his friend says, I've got some Tums if you need them.
Was it an arrow or a harpoon?
It was probably a harpoon.
Yeah, I love that.
But he was like, arr! And his friend's like, I've got some Tums if you need them. And I was like, are these two guys me and you? Like, what the
Yeah, that was awesome. And then he gets killed by a knife like thrown into him.
Yeah.
And I've been wondering for a while, like, do you think in real life anyone's ever like been killed by getting a knife thrown at them? It seems like such a degree of difficulty that like.
Yeah, I mean it happens a lot in action movies.
Oh, it happens all the time.
Yeah, like I mean Lopan.
Yeah, exactly.
It's one of those things where like I'm sure it's happened, but it probably doesn't happen all that often, especially now because I mean there are guns. What would be the point?
Well, there were guns in 1988.
Well, I'm saying like if you like before guns were invented, like that kind of a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess back before guns were invented.
Right.
It probably happened all the time.
Yeah. People probably tried it a lot more.
Yeah.
I mean, there were people that literally would like use throwing knives and stuff. So.
I guess that's true.
I
guess I was thinking more in the modern era.
In the modern era, no. I mean, everybody's got a gun. I think one of the statistics that I saw was that like there are more guns in like people's households than there are people. So like in the United States, not around the world. But speaking of that, they've got this place locked down tighter than the Pope's pooch. I was like,
dude, some of the dialogue in this movie.
Yeah, it's not good. But I mean, it was funny. I wrote it down, but it wasn't like, it was literally they were like, this is a Duke Nukem thing.
Right. It was like written by junior high school kids or something.
Something I would have probably written back in the day.
Feed pipe bomb babies, pipe bomb bread.
I gotta look and find that. So that dude gets handcuffed to a bomb, and as he's about to die to an explosion, he like yells and like comically crosses his eyes like in a totally unnecessary way. He's like,
yeah,
oh, or whatever, and I was like, huh?
And then that explosion is like a million times bigger than any possible like. It's like a nuclear explosion.
Yeah, it's like they put like 20 pounds of C4 in
Which I love that because there's a ton of explosions in this movie, and they're all like massive, like outrageously over the top.
Yeah, like the canisters that blow up.
Yeah.
What? Took out like half a city block.
Dude, I have a note about that.
Oh my god. So Tony looks like a Tony's Pizza's ass. A character I think that was in this movie. He looks like sweatier than fuck. He's the dude that like comes to talk to like Action Jackson,
yeah,
his friend, and he's like he like pretty much fucked himself up by taking a bunch of drugs and drinking so he could kind of like forget what he knew, and because he knew he was gonna get killed and shit or something.
Yeah, that dude played one of the Bond villains like right around the same era.
Oh, okay.
He usually plays like a dapper gentleman, which is why in this movie he's like it's weird to see him.
He's
like all strung out.
Yeah, he's looking for a Fugazi. So, watching the lady sing to like Craig T. Nelson like was probably one of the weirdest things in this movie.
Okay, so yeah, you're talking about Vanity.
Yeah, when she's singing to Craig T. Nelson in his club.
Yeah, that's a really weird scene.
Yeah, because he looks pissed, but once she's done, apparently he's like been fucking her and he has a boner. But like he's literally sitting there like. I mean, that's not even correct. It was like I can't even do it. He was just kind of like. Like completely stone faced, and I was like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, there's a couple scenes which is basically like Vanity musical numbers in this movie, and
yeah,
I think she's good in this movie, or at least like she's
serviceable for sure.
She's like going for it, big
right?
Time. She's like it's a very like dramatic performance,
right? I mean, I think she was good in this movie, and I felt like she's a good singer. But
I like her music. I like the songs in this movie.
I just was kind of like, okay, get on with it.
Yeah, exactly, because they go on for so long, and she does some really weird dancing too. Like
yeah,
when she tries, it's almost like is she trying to hypnotize Action Jackson with like weird like moves?
Two spots that happen where it's like Craig T. Nelson's watching her and she goes through an entire song, and then later on Craig T. Nelson, Action Jackson shows up and he's in the club and he's watching her and she goes through an entire song, and it's like, okay, they only did that once in Roger Rabbit with Jessica Rabbit, and it served a purpose.
Yeah.
These are just like, I don't know. I liked her, like I said. I just thought it was like, you know, that took up like a little bit too much of the like time for this movie.
Yeah, so one of the songs, I guess they tried to make it a hit for Vanity, is called Undress. And I have to get into just real quick some lyrics. Just one verse. So this is a little sample of Undress. I'm about to lose my head. Maybe it's the way you walk. Maybe something you said. I want to turn you out. It's like, there we go. Come on. This movie's obsessed with turning out. Show you what love is all about. Let me undress to the groove. Undress me, baby, if you like the way I move. You've got me dancing on the wall. Huh? Baby, baby, let's have a ball. Like, did they write these? They're like, oh crap, we gotta write a song in like 20 seconds. You got me dancing on the wall. Let's have a ball. Okay, we got it. Like,
I think I was on my phone for most of these scenes, honestly.
Yeah.
I definitely didn't go back and like listen to any of the stuff she was saying. Like when she was singing, I could tell that it didn't sound like shit, and like I kept looking up at the screen to make sure something didn't happen. But it became pretty apparent pretty quickly that it was just a scene to showcase her singing.
Yeah, totally.
So Action Jackson or Craig T. Nelson really didn't even have to be there.
Yeah, so one more thing about Vanity. I think I only know her from this movie.
One more thing?
The last thing I have is, so have to go to Roger Ebert's review.
About Vanity? Nice.
About Action Jackson.
Oh, he was alive? No, I'm just kidding.
He roasted the hell out of this movie. He hated it. He gave it 1 star. He said, Action Jackson is a movie where some of the parts are good, but none of them fit, and a lot of them stink. I think he couldn't figure out, like, is this a comedy or, like, because it has tons of, like, really graphic violence and, like, this different tones, I guess, was what Roger didn't like. But the one positive thing he said is he liked Vanity's performance.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that I ever felt like there was a issue with tone in this movie, because it literally was just like Lethal Weapon. They've got plenty of crazy shit and goofy stuff that happens in those movies, but like there's still like it did remind me a lot of like a Lethal Weapon movie, because there was like somebody that had like, you know, this horrible shit was going on. It was like, you know, the conspiracy of this guy doing that and killing people, and it was super serious. But then there was also like, you know, people making goofy jokes and one-liners and shit.
Yeah, he mentioned specifically the testicles. It's like out of a horror movie.
Oh. Yeah, I guess I mean...
But yeah, in general, I agree. Like, it's a goofy action comedy that has some super violent moments. Like, which, what more do you want? Like,
right, I mean, it's one of those things where, like, if you're judging this as a movie, if you're judging all action movies against other movies, they're generally going to get pretty low scores.
Yeah.
But you have to put them on a curve from themselves, you know?
Yep.
So, I guess if we were just straight up saying, like, you know, this movie, or, like, you know, what's it called? Like, The Last Boy Scout? Yeah, like, but they're action movies. What you said we expect. Like, so I guess if we're going to be talking about Vanity, I'll just get this out of the way now. I actually have, like, a rundown here of who she is, because I'd never heard of this person before this movie. But apparently, she was a Canadian model and lead singer of the all-girl group Vanity 6. She specialized in playing sultry female characters, often in trouble with the law. Her best two performances were the naive stripper assisting black male victim Roy Schneider in the underrated thriller 52 Pickup, and in this movie. In late '95, Vanity turned her back on Hollywood in the entertainment industry and dedicated her life to the Christian faith. Vanity, who suffered from scoliosis, died in 2016, actually, in Fremont, California. So she didn't have like a huge career, but like I thought that she was good, and I think if she had gotten like a break, like, you know, she would have probably been a lot bigger.
Yeah.
I mean, she wasn't bad as an actress, and she was a good singer.
Yeah, I'd like to see her in more stuff, just to see, you know.
Yeah, all the pieces were there. It was just she kind of picked a couple of films that were not, you know, they didn't end up being huge at the time, which sucks. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I know about her and all that there's really to be said, I guess.
Yeah, I've seen that 52 Pickup, which that's another really weird, violent movie.
Did it do well at the time?
I don't think so. Yeah. I think it's like a cult classic.
Right. Kind of like this movie, I would assume. Yeah. Like, where it's like, after the fact, it probably got big, but...
I don't know that this ever really got big. Yeah. Like, it's pretty deep cut.
I'd never heard, like I said, I'd never even heard of this movie until you brought it up. I was like, what? Actually, Jackson? I'm glad I watched it, but... let's see here. So while watching this and knowing it's supposed to take place in Detroit, I had a feeling this looked a bit too much like California. And so I did some fucking digging, and I'm half right. There were 5 locations, and some of them were in Detroit, but like half of them were in California.
Yeah, I would totally believe that.
So, because there are a lot of times where I'm like, that does not look like fucking Detroit at all. Yeah. Like, you know, it's too nice looking.
Yeah, it's like
sunny.
Exactly. It's like not a gray, like,
it's like
ash, like coal-filled sky.
Rap rape den.
I had a note. Did you catch? I forget exactly what part of the movie, but at some point there's an episode of Perfect Strangers playing in the background because you hear balcony.
I didn't write that down because I forgot, but yeah, it was like,
it's like,
huh?
Gotta love it.
Weird.
Any Perfect Strangers reference?
Yeah. So there was a part where he's like, Tony, do I have the right Jackson? And I was like, you got the right one, baby. It's like, huh? Random fake UPS guy wearing an APS uniform. I'm like, wouldn't Jackson see that? If I saw somebody that had like a UPS uniform on, you know, when I'm walking by them, I almost always look at somebody and I'll notice something about them. But like if it said APS, I'd be like, and if I was a cop, I would know probably like that's not a real delivery
Yeah,
service.
plus the dude looks so suspicious.
Yeah.
Like he's wearing dark sunglasses and he's like walking like the
Yeah.
Terminator. It's like
right. Not only that, but why would you wear a fake UPS uniform? You wouldn't get arrested for wearing a real one, would you? And if you did,
He was about to commit murder. Like,
well, who would say anything to you? Hey, are you a real UPS guy?
Yeah.
You know, like, I have a note for Craig T. Nelson bald spot, but that's pretty much it.
We already covered that.
Yeah. Pulls out a huge freaking needle, like from a Frankenstein movie, and then he like
It's like a syringe from like the 1890s or something.
he's like, time to give you fucking the syphilis cure. I'm like, wait a minute. But yeah, I thought that was weird because I was like, I thought he was gonna like have sex with her, and then he like puts her to sleep. I was like, why did Delaplane make his mistress sleep if he was gonna fuck her? Unless he was into sleeping with her literally.
He is a bad dude.
Yeah, he's a fucking bad dude.
Did you like the so like part of the scheme of this movie is like Delaplane has a new model of car that's like being marketed. Like, what'd you think of that?
Faster.
What'd you think of that marketing scheme?
Of the faster.
It's fast, faster, fastest.
Oh, that's true. I didn't really think about it honestly more than that one time.
Well, they show the commercial and like at one point the car like flies away.
Right, I was like, what?
You don't see commercials like that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know if there were many that ever were made like that. I think that was the only one that I can remember. There's a doctor in this movie that's like, I guess they're doing the autopsy of his like friend, and he has like Larry Three Stooges hair. It's like fucking bozo. I'm like, what? Oh my god.
Have we got past the point where we see Action Jackson's apartment?
I don't know about that. Because like my next note is talking about when Sharon Stone gets out of the shower.
Yeah.
And she instantly puts a robe on, and I was like, that is fucking horrible.
Unless it's like a towel robe, and you have another robe.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't. Whenever I don't know. I hate the idea of like being completely drenched and then being like, I'm putting clothes on instantly. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
What did you think of Sharon Stone in this movie?
I honestly kind of forgot that it was Sharon Stone.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if it's something with what's going on, but she kind of doesn't look like Sharon Stone in this movie. Does that make sense? I don't know.
I don't know.
I guess I didn't really think
she's
too
a
much
pretty
about
minor
her,
character.
she's not.
She gets blown away.
She's not really in this too much. I mean, she kind of plays like a somewhat a major role to a degree, but then like, yeah, she's not in it much after that. So, which I have a note about that once I think we get to it. But like, yeah, because let me see here. Because before that, there's the whole like Carl Weathers runs after a fucking car.
Yeah. Okay. So before we get to that, there's a scene where we're in his apartment, basically.
I don't remember that at all.
Well, I wouldn't, because I don't remember what happens. But like, I was watching this movie, and I've seen it before, probably a couple times, and I was enjoying it, and then I saw something that like made my blood run cold, and I couldn't explain what it was. And like, I did some research, and I couldn't find much on it either. But there's like a ghost in this movie. You didn't notice that? I'm guessing.
I don't remember.
I took a screenshot because I couldn't explain what I was seeing. I still can't, but
What?
yeah,
That's his apartment that he's in?
yeah.
I don't remember this scene at all. Did your copy have more footage on it than mine, the digital? I just don't remember this scene. I don't remember what happens in it. So
I really don't either. But
it's like
he's walking.
like an Aunt Jemima fucking lady in the background, or a maid or something. What the fuck? That's weird.
And I thought
she's like between the refrigerator and something else.
Yeah, I thought it was like, is that an assassin who's gonna like jump out and kill him? But like then they just pan past it and you never see it again.
You know what thinking about that, I wonder if...
What is that?
I wonder if they were filming on, like, a motel room and literally some fucking maid, like, got in the background.
But that doesn't look... That looks like a...
I mean, it looks like a maid.
It looks kind of like... But it's got... Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it just looks weird.
It scared the hell out of me, though.
Yeah, I didn't
what?
remember. I might have not been, like, looking at the movie at that point then. We'll have to look at it after... We'll have to, like... Put it in and look after this.
I looked to see what it was online, and like, there's nothing about it.
Nobody said anything.
Well, some other like podcast noticed it a few years ago, and but they didn't. They called it out, but they didn't know what it was.
Well, we'll have to do a follow up on this and like
scary stuff.
Talk about it. I don't know. Yeah, I don't remember seeing it, but I'll look on.
All right,
we'll have to pop it in later and check. That's fucked up.
It's weird. It scared me.
So let's see. Renting car. Oh yeah, where he's fucking running after this dude in a taxi.
Yeah.
And he's fucking like outrunning it, and then he like jumps onto it.
Good stuff.
I was like, huh? And then he like somehow later like jumps over it, but he also is able to do a flip.
Yeah, Roger Ebert called that out. I was like, apparently he can run like 40 miles an hour to run faster than cars.
They did kind of like set that up earlier because they were talking about how the dude that died was his old track star friend back in the day. Mm-hmm. But that's still fucking insane that he's like, you know... I mean, he is a huge dude in this movie, and Carl Weathers is ripped, so, you know...
But that's a cool chase scene. There's some good stunts, and like, we mentioned that explosion.
Yeah. The end of this was kind of stupid, though, because, like, once, like, the dude crashes, like, and flips his car, like, Carl Weathers is right there, and he goes to check, and the guy's completely gone.
Right.
Like, okay, this is stupid.
Yeah.
Where the hell is Jackson? He's so fast, the note is still falling. That's like when the fucking captain was, like, yells at Action Jackson, and he's, like, literally, it's like cartoon style. He's like, a cloud of dust is there, and the note's like, and fucking, he was gone. I was like, okay. So, I'm about to talk about the last Sharon Stone scene in this movie. Do you have anything to say before that? Mm-hmm. So, this is probably the one part of the movie that makes, like, the least amount of sense to me.
In a movie filled with nonsense.
Yeah. So Delaplane's wife, like, earlier goes and talks to Jericho because he's like, or she's like, hears something, and talks to him, and, you know, that she thinks that maybe, like, her husband had killed somebody, and she confesses everything to him, and he's like, I didn't do it, and she's like, I believe you, and, you know, completely fine. And then she says, like, that she told Action Jackson this.
Big mistake.
Well, it makes no sense that what he does, because she believes him, and there's no reason to think that she doesn't, because she acts like she completely does. But then he ends up fucking killing her, which makes no sense, because what would he say to people that, like, ask about his wife? First of all, oh, she's just gone? That would... Action Jackson would be more suspicious. But then, like, she trusted him and believed what he said. So keeping her alive would actually make more sense because he would, like, have someone to, like, deflect Action Jackson with. Because he trusts her. So why the fuck did he, like, kill the one person that was connected to him that Action Jackson actually, like, trusted? Like, it made zero sense. He just straight up fucking killed her, and then I was like... I mean, he's killing whoever he wants, and it doesn't matter. But at the same time, like, in the logic of it, I was like, what the fuck?
He's a total psycho. And I guess he was so
enraged.
To
the point where it doesn't make any sense, though. Even psychopaths would, like, that doesn't...
I can't defend it.
Yeah, it was just... It didn't, like, lessen the movie at all for me. I just thought it was, like, a stupid writing error. Lazy writing. There's a part where they show all these rats, and I would put fucking rats. So this one dude that owns this motel, like, you know what I'm talking about? I don't know who he's called. He's like,
yeah, I forget his
he has
name.
this weird voice. You can barely understand what he's saying.
It's very raspy.
But like, he's watching Flintstones and he says "yabby tabby doo," and I was like, "You fucked up." I also noticed Dino has regular human teeth in the fucking Flintstones.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true.
I was like, "What?" And then Vanity says, "One more chance. Wanna fuck?" And I was like, he's like, "No." I was like, eh. Another scene with Carl Weathers without like his shirt on, but in this one he supposedly just came out of the shower and he was showering in oil. He came out and he was like, fucking...
Dude, the 80s were all about
oil
like,
to the
getting
nines.
oiled up.
Yeah. Yeah, the ball scene where they go into the fucking bar. I actually don't have many notes about that, but it was just fucking weird. They were like obsessed with cutting off a guy's nuts. I was like, what is fucking wrong with these people?
And then like that weird creepy punk dude mentioned like having a blanket party.
Yeah, I was like...
Which I had to look up what that meant. But.
Right, I was just like... The whole thing was like fucked up. Do you want to explain to people what that means?
If you've seen Full Metal Jacket, you know that's a blanket party. Where basically you hold someone down with blankets and beat the hell out of them.
Right. Doesn't really sound like a party. But, yeah, this whole scene, they go looking for this contact of his, and apparently the guy's dead by the time he, like, finds him. Like, but they, like, had killed the guy, they cut the guy's balls off and, like, put it in a jar and killed the guy. And so then they were going to do that to Action Jackson. And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with these people? Like, it wasn't just, like, one guy. It was, like, there was the main guy, there was, like, this one dude, there was, like, this Native American guy, and then there was, like, another dude. And I was like, huh? Like, did we step into a fucking Tarantino film?
Yeah, which, that dude is awesome. I forget his name. Shoot.
There's a lot of, like, really
he's
cool
in
people
Sonny Landham.
Okay.
He's in Predator. So this is kind of like a reunion because you have Carl Weathers, Bill Duke, and Sonny Landham all in Predator. And all in Action Jackson.
Okay. And one of those is really legit.
Yeah.
So Jackson throws a dude out the window. And goes to another window.
That was so awesome.
Building. I was like, what the fuck?
But what a great stunt.
Yeah,
like,
it was.
That's an amazing stunt. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Yeah,
a
I've
dude
never
flying
seen
through two
somebody
windows.
fly through a window and then like through the next building's window.
Yeah.
That guy was like the luckiest fucker in the world.
I know. I rewound that a couple times, and you could like that dude probably like smashed the hell out of his like shins because you could see like he didn't quite make it. So I was like, that dude got jacked up.
Like this junkie or whatever that he beats the fuck out of, and like, or well, he's like a pusher, and he throws him out of a fucking window, and he's like, yeah. I was like, that is the luckiest fucker, because if he had got thrown out the window and not gone through that window, he'd be dead.
Yeah.
ADR Delaplane is gonna kill you too. So like, there's a. Yeah, I was like, eh. So, okay.
Keep going.
I was just gonna say, there's a part where like Action Jackson is like saying, "I'm gonna fucking, why don't we just die right now?" And he's like driving 1,000,000 miles per hour, and at the end she's like, "Yeah, sure." And he's like, "Was it my, charisma and stuff?" And she's like, "It sure wasn't your driving." And I'm like, bullshit. You turned that car around in an alleyway. Like,
it's amazing driving.
Fuck you. Yeah, I was like, that was ridiculous.
Later on, there's some amazing driving too.
Jesus Christ, dude. The only other time I'd seen something like that was in a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fucking cartoon where Michelangelo does the same thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
We'll talk about that. So I'm gonna skip ahead to unless you have something else, but the next part is where they like go to the this bar where like one of Delaplane's contacts is, or like one of his partners is, and they talk to him, and they're like, Delaplane wants to see you, and they take him out to this industrial place, and like he's up top. He goes all the way up there, and Action Jackson fucking comes down from a fucking chain for no reason. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "Hey, how you doing? I'm just gonna fucking come down on this chain." I was like, "Why are you fucking up there? Why aren't you just standing right there?" I was like, I thought it was awesome, but it was just totally unnecessary. I think that was when they were like when we used to make movies and we were like, let's just put it in for no reason. It was like, fuck it.
Like, that's the action.
Yeah. Well, where's the Jackson? Craig T. Nelson is so good in this movie. He could have been a really, really good Lex Luthor because he was like really smart.
Oh, yeah.
Power, and he was like, he was very menacing too. Like, he would make jokes, but then like it wasn't like Marvel villains where like, you know, they've ruined them and they're not scary. It was like this guy was like horrifying.
Yeah, and I said
what he said.
He was hamming it up a little bit, but like
he
like you
he
said,
could turn it like that.
Yeah, he was still like really scary, like legit scary in certain scenes.
Yeah.
Like holy crap.
Right? Yeah, this is no joke. There was a couple times when this happened in the movie, but a guy gets hit in the electronic panel and fries, and they like speed up the footage monster style.
So I have the same thing, electrocuted in panels. Like, this happens so much in 80s movies where people just get thrown into electrical panels and
instantly somehow they get... It's either explosions from cars getting shot or flipping over for no reason, which I've never seen that happen. And it never happens in real life. Or, like, if I were to, like... I don't know, like, if you had, like your circuit breaker, if you threw me into that, I wouldn't instantly start being like, ah!
Yeah. Well, dude, I've spent a lot of my career working in, like, industrial areas where there's like control panels everywhere, and like unless like some serious safety violations happen, like there's no way that would be possible.
I mean, you'd have to be standing next to it, and like they'd have to like have all the shit behind you broken, and then they'd have to be spraying water on you.
Yeah, because I mean anything electrically like is locked, and you have to
it'd have to be open. Yeah, it's like.
But I still love it. Like, it's a great trope.
Well, like my thing was, I was saying there was a lot of kind of sped up footage too.
I didn't notice that.
There was a couple times when it happened. It didn't happen a lot, but it was like. When it happened, it was noticeable. It was like the ADR. When it happened, they weren't good at hiding it. So this is one of the lines that, like, I think it was supposed to be like... You know what I'm going to say already?
Yeah, I think.
I don't know if it was supposed to be, like, kind of like if you're a fat person and they call you Slim in the Mafia. Like, that kind of a difference.
Okay.
But, like, they fucking burn a guy to death. And they tell him to chill out.
Action Jackson says that.
Right, but it makes like
he roasts a dude with a flamethrower.
Right. Well, the thing that I think of when I think of that is Arnold Schwarzenegger in Batman, where he's just constantly going with the puns, but they make sense because he's Mr. Freeze and he's like chill out, ice to see you, stuff like that. Where it's like, but it'd be like if he was like, you know, like I'm gonna burn your ass. I'd be like. What? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Just the fact that he's saying, like, catchphrases?
Well, no, that he says...
Chill out.
Well, he's burning a guy and he says, chill out. Right. It's the opposite of what's happening.
I know.
Whereas, like, if like, I don't know if it was, like, a flip on, like I said, like, the thing where there's a fat dude in the Mafia and they call him Slim. Mm-hmm. Or it's like, he's fat, so his name's Slim, But puns don't work like that.
I know.
Like, so I was kind of like... But it was funny because then they, like... Right after this, almost, they have one that actually works that makes sense.
No, it doesn't.
Does it?
No.
Why?
Go ahead.
Well, actually, before that, I'm going to talk about how shitty the grenade launcher looks in this movie.
Okay.
It's literally like a baton that they glued iron tubes to on the side.
So I didn't notice that, but you can't deny, like, the effect that it has. And it's like...
The effect
Two dudes get blown up with grenade launchers in this movie, and it's amazing. Each time.
I'm saying, like... How cheap it looks is kind of like, but I was gonna say like the only reason why this works is because it makes sense. Not that it's a good line.
I still don't think it makes sense. So before he annihilates a human being with a grenade launcher, he says, "How do you like your ribs?"
Well, he says barbecue because the guy was gonna barbecue him, and then he goes, "Barbecue, huh? How do you like your ribs?"
Right.
Like he's gonna fucking burn his ribs.
Right. But
right.
That's not a thing that you ask. Like, you ask that about steak. Or you ask that about hamburger,
that's
but
true.
like you don't ask that. Like, how do you want your ribs cooked? Like,
well, it makes more sense.
I want my ribs rare. Like,
it makes a lot more sense than the last line.
That's true.
Like, I think you could say that this one works just because with like the temperature, it coincides. Whereas, like, the other one was burning a guy and he was like, freeze. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
But
I do understand what you're saying, though, because, yeah, you wouldn't be like, how do you like your ice?
Yeah.
Like,
Frozen.
Frozen? Water? What do you mean?
And also just the fact that he saw that dude's ribs were exposed. Like, what would he have said otherwise?
Well, not only that, but, like, he just straight up fucking kills the shit out of this dude.
It's so awesome.
Yeah, and I was like, there was some bitch that straight up, this is like a Karen straight in a movie, some bitch cries that nobody was out in front to park the cars. And I wrote that down, I was
nice.
like, fuck you. So he meets up with like his past partner at the thing, and he's like, is there any reason why I shouldn't arrest you? And then like... Conveniently, they show Craig T. Nelson with, like, Vanity, and he's, like, in a window, like, and, like...
So his mustache is like...
Yeah, his partner turns into Wisey, and he throws his gun to him, and he's like, fat.
Dude, I had the same note.
Did you?
Yeah.
Because he was like, fat. It was like...
I wrote it down. Wisey.
So the butler gets crunched by a car, and this line, for the life of me, did not understand this. But
I'm not sure.
He says, you lose. What? No shit. But like
your life.
Right, but I was like, huh? You lose? Like, the guy was not, from what I remember in the movie, the guy never like gambled or anything like that, and there was no like bet between those two dudes. I think that was like the first time they'd ever really met, besides when Sharon Stone leaves. Yeah. So it was just like, sort of cut scene, or... Yeah. I think more likely a lot of the lines were like the last thing they worked on in this movie, like the one-liners, which at that point I would just say leave them out.
Yeah.
So then comes the best fucking part of this movie.
Totally. That's really the only thing I remembered from the first time I watched it.
I was like, I don't really know what to. I don't know what to say. I was so surprised.
It's so awesome.
So why don't you talk about it?
Well, there's not much to say. So Action Jackson drives it looks like a Ferrari, but it's like his sports car.
Right, the new car that he came out with.
He drives it into the mansion because he's trying to get Craig T. Nelson.
Yeah.
And he's like driving through the hallways in this car, and then he drives up the main staircase. And it's so awesome. Yeah. But it's like that house had to have the widest hallways to accommodate a freaking car.
It wouldn't work because what happens is he kills the butler by crushing him into the wall. Then he backs up and the stairs go like up, around, and then I'm assuming there's some point where like, because so we're saying okay, it goes up or like this, and then I'm assuming there's a hallway here, and then it turns because there's a shot where he turns around the corner. Mm-hmm. So maybe it goes up, around. But they don't show all of it. They show him drive up the stairs to the landing. They don't show him drive up the second stairs, but they show him like fucking vaulting, and he lands in the hallway. And then the next scene that he has is he comes around this corner and he's monstering it. He's like, I think they had to like do it slowly to like not fuck up a wall. So like he comes around the corner and like he's going like it like looks faster than it should. It's like I said, I've seen this one other time, and it was in a cartoon, Turtle, like the Turtles 80s cartoon, where Michelangelo drives a tiny car down a staircase. But I was like, hey, it looks so fucking weird. It looked just like this, where I was like, what? But like, it was like he was on a fucking, like, it was like a Disney ride. He was like, yeah. And Craig T. Nelson's like, oh shit! And I was like, yeah, that's the correct reaction.
Yep.
I would have been shitting my pants too. Like,
someone drove a car into my house.
Well, not only up into my house, but up the fucking stairs. I'd be like, huh? If you drove your car, say up your stairs, like into your neighbor's house, would the second floor be able to fucking support all that weight?
I don't know. Probably not.
So I was like thinking like,
Maybe he had reinforced floors just in case.
That's true. Maybe that's why he was like, oh shit, thank God I got those reinforced floors. So these dudes are fighting and he says, now you really pissed me off. But like nothing else has pissed him off. Apparently. I was like, huh?
What'd you think of his karate skills in this movie?
I liked how Craig T. Nelson was like, they showed different scene, like a scene of him actually training and like he knows like karate.
Yeah, he looks pretty good.
But they like never show his master. Like I assumed it was that Asian dude
who he like kicks the hell out of.
But that guy, well, like the other guy, the older guy that was in Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh, okay, maybe.
But the thing is, that guy like gets his ass beat in like 1 second in this movie.
Right.
So I don't think he was like a master. I think he was just like his butler. But like, yeah, there's he's it's pretty. I did like how Craig T. Nelson he's like a kick fighter almost.
Yeah, his kicks look good.
Yeah,
like,
he looked like a
some
badass
skills
in this movie. I was like, holy shit! I like that he wasn't just a bad guy that couldn't fight back. Like he was kicking Action Jackson's ass for a bit. But then it leads to the end of this movie where like they both just go for their guns and. Craig T. Nelson does shoot him, but he only hits him like in the arm, and Action Jackson shoots him in the chest, like pretty much in the heart. But when he does, it like fucking. This is what I was talking about earlier with like the different shots in this movie, where like the bullet entry like thing for this is like ridiculous. It's like I was like, holy fuck. And Thomas Wilson says, "This is one dead piece of shit car maker." I was like, and everybody's like, okay, like nobody said anything. Last note was just this movie had some sped up scenes and a shit ton of ADR.
Yeah,
and like the lines were hit or miss.
That's for sure.
I would recommend if you haven't seen this movie to watch it.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know if I would say that this is like a cult classic.
Yeah.
Like. It's definitely not on the same league as, like, say, a movie that came out like The Thing or Big Trouble in Little China or, like, you know, movies that at the time didn't do well, but later on got, like, a huge following and it's beloved. Because besides you, I don't think anybody I know has ever heard of this movie. So that's why, you know, it was awesome to watch it, though.
Yeah, these are my favorite kind of movies. Just, like, you know, action movies with some comedy, some good stunts. I really like Carl Weathers, so it's one of the few movies where he's like a lead in.
Which is sad because he's fucking awesome.
Yeah, he's great.
He's kind of having a career resurgence with like Mandalorian and stuff.
Yeah, that's good to see.
But
in the end, this is the movie where Carl Weathers drives a car into upstairs.
Yeah, because
which you have to see.
Yeah, that part is pretty fucking out of control. I guess next time we're not doing our picks; we're having somebody else pick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess that's up to whatever you guys want. You guys get to decide what we watch next time. We just have to have a nomination. So,
Nomination Nation.
Do you have any other things you want to say about this? Or
I'm pretty sure it's another perfect podcast. We didn't make any mistakes, so it was pretty flawless.
I made a joke or two that didn't land as usual. Perfect podcast. I'm going to have to look on playback because I think we might have lost like a shit ton of frames, so we might be kind of like super choppy. But this is our first remote podcast, so I'll have to look into like maybe making the maybe the video not as good and maybe making it so people can see us easier and it's not as... Because we're using my laptop, and it's, like, not... Of course, that's on here, on the live feed, I think.
I saw
it. Oh, you did? Okay, yeah.
I saw it.
How bad was it?
It looked like bad stop-motion animation.
Did it? Yeah, it's not great.
I saw it.
That's okay. Hopefully our audio comes through the whole time.
Yeah.
If not, I guess we'll have to figure out another way to do this.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. You have anything else?
I'm
just going to keep
final
asking
thoughts?
you that over and over again.
Final thoughts. See this movie if you haven't seen it. If you have seen it, don't watch it again. It wasn't bad.
Unless you want to solve the mystery of that ghost.
Yeah, we'll have to look at that and get back to everybody. So.
All right. Well, I just have one final question. How do you like your ribs?
Also, like, if you were going to be cooking ribs and asking people how they liked them, most people don't like them fucking charred. So, like, that guy was like, like dead as fuck when he died.
Turned into a crispy
He was dead as fuck when he died. As opposed to being alive as fuck when you die. I guess you would be alive when you died, right?
Pretty much up to that point.
Yeah. Nonlife.com. Okay, cool. Well, I guess that's it.
Bye.